Okay, guys, so we're about to dabble in the first battles of World War I. We're finally moving beyond the stage where we are just dealing with the alliances that are set up. And today's focus is going to be to look at technology and how it affects the early stages of World War I, using some notes that we're going to go through. First 9 lines, type 1 writing. We fight each other. We fight each war with new technology and the previous war's tactics. Give me some sort of comment on that statement. Agree, disagree, extend your thoughts on the topic. And once you have done that, you can then move on to the rest of the presentation. Planning for war. There are 2 basic plans that get put into place that we're going to look at for France and Germany. For Germany, it's known as the Schlieffen Plan. This is Alfred von Schlieffen over here on the left-hand side. And then we have the 2 Frenchmen most notably known for development of Plan 17, which is literally named because it is the 17th plan that France approves. You have Ferdinand Foch on the left, and then you have Joseph Joffre over here on the right. As you'll notice, everyone has awesome mustaches, and that's a major part of being a military commander during this time and place. Both of these plans are going to be set up for attacking purposes. In both cases, they believe that a quick, aggressive war is a winnable war, and that's what's going to kind of carry the spirit of the countries, and really all of the countries in World War I forward. They all kind of think that it's going to be eminently winnable in a quick time frame, and you saw that yesterday with the readings on the outbreak of war. The one British author spoke about making sure, hey, I know it's going to be a quick war, but hopefully it lasts until Christmas time so that I don't have to go to college right away. The Schlieffen Plan, Alfred von Schlieffen, the idea is that Russia is not yet ready to mobilize into war. And so they're hoping to defeat France first and then move on to Russia, so that by the time Russia is ready to mobilize its enormous army, Germany can concentrate all of its efforts on Russia and not have to split up and fight a war on 2 fronts, against France to the west and against Russia to the east. And their plan is based around attacking through neutral Belgium. So Belgium's neutral at this point. Great Britain is probably their greatest ally, but they have declared themselves neutral in this whole affair, and Germany is hoping to violate that neutrality and then move south into France from there. They correctly predict that France is still upset about the loss of Alsace and Lorraine, those regions that they lost in the Franco-Prussian War, and that France will try to go at those regions first in order to regain them. And so they're hoping to kind of loop around the outskirts and go through Paris and capture that on their way to surrounding the French forces near Alsace and Lorraine. They're hoping that they can at least create a stalemate there, which will allow them to wheel the rest of their army around. And it's actually believed that it might be doomed from the start. Von Schlieffen himself, 1905, says that, listen, I've done some extensive research on this. He's got it planned out to the point where he knows exactly which roads they're going to take. And he's concerned that Germany just doesn't have the manpower to fight and keep a stalemate in Alsace and Lorraine and wheel an entire army around, crushing France along the way in order to surround them. So it's possible that this plan may not even work, even in the best conditions. For Plan 17, again, it's an attack-based plan. The belief is that this fighting spirit of the French troops is going to get it done. It's kind of like when you hear people talk about athletes and intangibles. That's the concept that the French are really pushing, that you're going to be able to overpower because your troops are better. It's that nationalism coming back into play. Their plan, just as the Germans predicted, is to attack through Alsace and Lorraine, then move north into the Argonne Forest, and set up a defensive position in the north because they correctly predict that Germany might come through Belgium. There's actually some talk, maybe we should be the ones, as France, who violate Belgium's neutrality. But they know that they really need Great Britain to help them defeat Germany. They know they can't win. They've seen it before. And so they don't want to violate Belgium's neutrality, making Great Britain mad, which will make Great Britain less likely to help them in a war against Germany. They're going to then have a full army around Paris to reinforce either side as necessary. You're going to do quick writing. What potential problems do you see with these 2 plans? Give a quick comment on them on your notes, and then you can move forward from there. So here's just an image that describes the 2 plans. Obviously in red you have Germany again moving through Brussels, down, sweeping around, through Paris, and then eventually over to this region here, which is Alsace-Lorraine, kind of right across from Paris is what we're talking about here. Then obviously the blue troops, those are the French troops where you'd have them moving through Alsace and Lorraine. You have this Fifth Army up here to defend against an attack from northern Germany, and then the Fourth Army here able to respond in either direction as need be. As predicted, Germany does invade, but we're going to come back to that in a couple of later lessons, where we're actually going to concentrate the first two battles that we're going to look at here in World War I. The Battle of Sur, August 16th. So this is really less than 2 months after the death of the Archduke Franz Ferdinand on June 28th, 1914. The combatants, Austria-Hungary against Serbia, and again, this is really, really personal for each of them. Serbia believes that the Serbs down here in the map in Bosnia, which is controlled by Austria-Hungary, their rights are being denied to them. And for Austria-Hungary, they want revenge for the death of their Archduke, Franz Ferdinand. And so it's deeply, deeply personal. Austria-Hungary invades Sur as a mountain, and Serbia is able to defend it and keep Austria-Hungary from advancing. And this is a big blow to Austria-Hungary. It's really an embarrassment. They're supposed to be this big, bad empire here, and here's little Serbia able to fight them off. Serbia's army has to spend a lot of their resources, especially ammunition, to fight them off. We do see some atrocities. As I mentioned, this is a deeply personal conflict. We see some atrocities on both sides. For Serbia, they gain more support from their allies, showing, hey, here's spunky little Serbia able to fend off the Austro-Hungarians. And then we also see the first aerial dogfight here, where two planes literally are just firing revolvers back and forth against one another in order to try and fight in the air. Here's a map of it. We don't necessarily need to know too much about it, but it's the idea that Austria-Hungary is moving south into Serbia. Here's where we have the Serbian army mobilizes. They're kind of ready for an attack across the Danube, which doesn't come because it's too difficult, so they end up fighting along this river here. And that's where the mountain is located, the mountain Sur. The second battle that we need to hit is the Battle of Tannenberg, August 23rd through August 30th. This is Germany versus Russia. So Russia surprises Germany a bit. Originally, again, the whole Schlieffen Plan is predicated on the idea that Russia is not going to be able to mobilize very quickly. Well, they do. They enter into Eastern Prussia, which is in Germany, near today Poland, and attack. And during this attack, it ends up being an enormous defeat for Russia. Germany is able to use the fact that they broke the Russian code, and the Russians know this and can't do anything about it, and their superior tactics to move troops quickly and effectively. At this point, Russia is really struggling. They really don't have much of an infrastructure to be able to move troops around. And 90,000, about a third of the Russian force at this time is captured. Remember, Russia is enormous. They can absorb the manpower loss, but they're also losing resources. And that's a big problem for Russia because, again, they don't have the huge industrial revolution background to be able to help them. And so it's a big blow for them. We see the advent of some rock stars for Germany. Paul von Hindenburg, that's where the name of the Hindenburg, the Zeppelin that catches fire in Lakewood, New Jersey, is from. Erich Ludendorff, and those two guys are really known as the two kind of architects of the plan, able to fend off the Russian attacks. And then finally Max Hoffmann, who is also a major part of that battle strategy. Even though they defeat Russia, Germany can't commit enough troops to fully push them out of Prussia because, remember, their whole Schlieffen Plan is predicated on defeating France first, then dealing with Russia, and they just don't have the ability to commit fully to pushing Russia out. So even though big blow, the Battle of Tannenberg, it doesn't have a huge strategic advantage. Russia's still there. Here you can see the movements of the troops. Germany here, again, you have this large areas. You have basically two clusters, here up in the north and here in the southern part. And this southern army, Samsonov, is defeated. He actually commits suicide as a result of the embarrassing defeat here. Germany moves troops south over the course of 2 days in order to fully crush Samsonov's army. Here's just another image, again, showing those two clusters, showing Ludendorff's troops moving south to fully surround the Russian Second Army. The Russian First Army never actually receives any orders to go and assist them, and that makes it really, really easy for the Germans to crush them. Here's just an image. You see all of these Russian soldiers here. These have been captured by German forces, but again, even more so, you have the capturing of the Russian resources, and that's a much bigger blow for Russia than just losing the manpower. Moving forward from here, we're going to head back to the Western Front and look at the Schlieffen Plan in action in through Belgium and in through France. If you have any questions, you can always ask. If you need any help with the absent work, let me know also. Thanks.